Welcome to the second episode of Hooked on a Book, our new podcast. I'm Edie. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Madhavi. I also use she, her pronouns.
And today we're just going to be chatting about our 2021 year in review for reading. Just our favorite books, or least favorite books, random stats that we're interested in. Maybe you will be too. Yeah, I use goodreads and storygraph, and I have a reading journal because I'm like that. So we'll be looking at all of those probably. And then you use Goodreads?
Yeah, I mostly use Goodreads. Like, I imported my Goodreads to my storygraph, but a bunch of books are missing, so it's not like accurate.
Okay, it works, you know. It's fine.
Yeah.
So should we start with what the top of our Goodreads challenges say, just to see what's going on? So all my info right here. I've actually read 70 books, but it hasn't updated it yet. So we're gonna say 69 for the time being. And then 22,000 pages, almost 23,000 pages.
That's wild.
That's a lot of pages. So I was just saying, like, this is so many books for me. I normally read way less. Like last year, I almost hit 50, and I was so excited because it was so many more than ever before. And now I'm like, so yeah, kind of excited about that.
So impressive.
I'm like, it's kind of crazy. Like, what did I do with my year that I that I had time to read that many books? My shortest book was actually one of my favorites this year. It was Felon Poems by Reginald Dwayne Betts. Only 85 pages, but it was a lot in the 85 pages that I read. I was probably like one of my top 3 of the year. It's a very good poem, a very good book of poems. And then my longest was almost 900 pages, The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Also very good, but like not a favorite, I don't think. It had a lot of fluff in there. Not necessarily fluff, but like a lot of bits that I didn't care about. But yeah, have you read either of them?
Long.
Yeah, it was.
No, I have not.
Yeah, it was just such a long book. I read it last January, so it was really early in the year that I read it, and I was just like, it was a lot. But
yeah, I think you told me about Felon like while you were reading it, and I was like,
yeah,
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I read it at like right when we got to school in August, because I got it from the bookstore right across the road from campus. Yeah, my average book length was 331 pages, so tells you that my 900-page book was a little out of the ordinary.
I feel like that's respectable though. Like, it's not too yeah,
that's true. It's not like really, really short. It's sort of like a normal length, I guess. I don't know. I feel like that's a good length for a book, honestly, because if it's a lot longer, there's often like fluff, but if it's shorter, then it doesn't have enough. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see what yours is, because I feel like the comparison.
I think mine is shorter.
My most popular was Pride and Prejudice, which, I mean, like, it makes sense. It's Pride and Prejudice. Everybody's heard of Pride and Prejudice. I also read that really early in the year, and I didn't have super strong opinions. Like, I don't know. Have you read Pride and Prejudice?
No.
It's like, I honestly don't know that I'd recommend it. I think a lot of people really love it, so maybe, but it's sort of I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked the movie a lot, and I think maybe I had high expectations because I liked the movie. But I don't think it's really like my type of book. Maybe it didn't have like enough drama, really. Like, the drama wasn't interesting, I guess, to me. Yeah. My least popular book was A Woman's Education, which is a memoir by the first woman president of Smith College, which isn't the college that we go to, but you know, we go to, for people watching who don't know, we go to Mount Holyoke College, which is it's a historically women's college nearby Smith, which is also a historically women's college. So that's why I read the book. But
That's really cool though.
yeah, I got it at there's like a random like used bookstore that we went to at one point during a semester that had it, and I was like, well, I guess I'll read that. Yeah, not necessarily a favorite of any kind. I think I gave it like 3 stars, 3.5 stars, something like that.
No.
Yeah, it's okay. It was interesting to sort of see the perspective of like administration in a school, which is not a perspective I think about a lot, I guess. My average rating was 3.8, which seems really high to me. But I think I'm just really like overly generous sometimes, but also I don't finish books that I don't like, so I often have a higher rating. I think next year I probably won't do a rating system, or won't do a rating system in the same way, because I don't know how accurate it is, but I always say that and I always do anyway, so we'll see what happens.
Would you say that it was like a good year for you though, like in terms of the books?
Yeah, I think so. I did really like what I read this year. I think it was pretty solid. Like, I think I had a lot of good books, and I also had a lot of very medium books, if that makes sense. But I did have a good time with it, so I think that like I enjoyed what I read. Certainly. Yeah. My highest rated, not by me, but by Goodreads,
need to clarify.
Yeah, just to clarify. Although honestly, it was a really good book. I think I gave it 4.5 stars or something like that. I really enjoyed it. But Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo is the second book in the Six of Crows duology, and I actually reread it later in the year, so it was a good book. Yeah, definitely a solid book. I kind of love the cover too, because of the like the castle thing with the bird. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very
that's something I like. But yeah,
the
definitely.
number of people the number of people that have been like hounding me to read Six of Crows is actually,
I mean, you should. It's
I know,
good. It's very good. It is like fantasy, which like I don't know that you'd love, but it's like the magic is honestly sort of, well, I want to say it's not the most important part. It is pretty significant in the story, but it isn't the whole story. There's a lot of other, it's like, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's not that. So there is magic, but it's not a big part. It's more like strategy and stuff. Okay, so that's my stats from Goodreads, for anyone who is wondering. I can stop sharing my screen. Okay.
I can share mine. Yeah, so
45 is still a lot of books though.
Yeah, for me it's a lot. Like last year I think it was 13, which is really embarrassing, but
it's fine.
Yeah. So for me 45 is like really good. Okay, wait, I'm gonna need to drink water because I think something's in my throat.
That's a good idea. I'll drink tea while you drink water. We can.
Okay, yeah. So I read 12,000 pages, which is pretty okay, I think. Yeah. So my goal was 30 books, I think, but I read 45, which yeah, I'm very happy with. Yeah. So my shortest book was, so this was actually a short story by Sylvia Plath, and it's Mary Ventura and the Ninth Kingdom. And it was really good. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was very, I mean, it's Sylvia Plath, so it was kind of depressing, but it was also just like, it was really pretty, and I don't know, it made me think a lot.
That's cool. Yeah. It has a really nice cover.
Yeah, I really like the cover too. And okay, my longest book, this was like a history, like it's nonfiction. It was just about like, the independence movement in India.
It's a thick book. That's a lot. Good for you.
Yeah. I have another book that I want to read that's like 1,000 pages about like India's history after independence. So 2022, let's go.
1,000 page nonfiction that's a lot.
Yeah, not really looking forward to it. Okay, yeah, my average book length was 277.
That's not much shorter than mine was.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, that's the length of book I want to read.
Yeah. I think it's very like easy to read. Like you can finish it quickly, but it's also not like there's nothing to it, you know? It's still
Yeah.
like, yeah. My most popular was The Fellowship of the Ring.
Nice.
Yeah. I read the whole series like in the summer.
Oh, nice.
And
I guess
yeah.
that makes sense that the first book is more popular than the other ones.
Yeah, I always like wondered about that. Like, do people just give up?
I guess probably.
Yeah. I mean, it took me like 20 years to read it, so I get it.
There is
Honestly.
kind of like a lot, especially the first book where there's
Yeah.
just like a lot of walking. I mean, there's a lot of walking for the whole series.
It is. I was like, I watched the movies like a bunch of times, so I was like, okay, let's go. The books are gonna be fun. It's gonna be easy. And then they were just walking and walking, and then they got to like Tom Bombadil, and I was like, what is happening? Like,
It's just cause, I guess. There's no reason.
yeah. Okay, and my least popular was Other Rashas. So I
Mm.
actually read this for one of my classes. And it's like a graphic novel that talks about like, I don't know if it's a graphic novel, it's just like artwork with text, but it's
Maybe
not
it's a graphic
really.
novel. I read one that was
Yeah.
like called a graphic novel memoir, but it was nonfiction, but they called it a novel, and I'm like,
Oh,
it's okay.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was about basically just like marginalized groups in Russia, and so it was about like LGBTQ plus like Russians, and it was about like prostitutes and kids in like juvenile detention centers, and it was also kind of about like the protest movements that happened when like Putin's presidency was like basically contested because he rigged the election, stuff like that. But
That's so
it was really
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, and now I kind of want to read that. That sounds really good.
You should. I have the ebook. I can link it to
Okay,
you.
yeah, I might take up on that.
It
That's so cool.
was really good. Okay, so my average rating was 3.9, which fits. I think it was a good year for me. I really liked like most of the books I read.
That's good. That's always exciting when you have like a good selection.
Yeah. Okay, so highest rated was The Return of the King. Which makes
4.63.
sense.
That's pretty high.
Yeah. It's a good book. I think it was my favorite of the three, to be honest.
I agree. I think like it's satisfying as an ending, I feel like maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I just love a good like happy ending in this.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so now favorite books of the year. I I struggle with picking a favorite book, but I decided to just go to what my 5 stars were and then figure out what my favorite of the 5 stars were because I feel like that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
said my favorite was Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner, which is a memoir that I listened to in July. And I adored it. I have my reading journal here, so I'm gonna see if I can find the reading journal page of it. I should have. I was just showing it to you before we started recording, and now I lost it again. Very intelligent
Yeah, you're good
choice.
at.
Okay. So I did like a spread with the guitar and the food and like red because the cover's red. So I was trying to kind of keep the tone going on there. Yeah, I adored it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just everything about it was really good. Her writing's gorgeous. The storyline was like heartbreaking, but also just like made me think a lot, made me emotional. Um and yeah, and then I started listening to her music and I love her music now. Japanese Breakfast is like one of my top on my Spotify rap this year. So
I love
yes,
that.
everything about it made me
Yeah.
happy. I was gonna do just like read a quote from it. I have it on my phone because I listened to the audiobook, so I found it. I remember these things clearly because that was how my mother loved you. Not through white lies and constant verbal affirmation, but in subtle observations of what brought you joy, pocketed away to make you feel comforted and cared for without even realizing it. Which I just thought was really pretty. So I thought I'd share that. But yes, so that was my favorite book of the year. Everyone should read it. Highly recommend. My other two favorites, because I felt like I should sort of pick 3 because that's a nice number, and I had 3 that I really liked. The other 2 are very different, and not necessarily like, I don't know how to describe it. Basically, my other favorite was that I already mentioned was Felon, by Reginald Dwayne Betts, which is a really short poetry collection about race and incarceration and life after incarceration and family and relationships, and it was just like, it was really good. Also highly recommend that. And then my other one is a complete flip, is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy, which is basically like a graphic novel slash kids book, which is just like all about friendship, and like it's just so wholesome, and it's about love and family and found family, and I just adored it basically. It's very, very short. It took me like maybe an hour to read, probably much less actually. I think I read it twice when I first read it. And that took me an hour. So it's like half an hour long read. Highly recommend. It is written in cursive, which is somewhat difficult to read because I recommended it to some people and like, how am I supposed to read this? But gorgeous. The artwork is so pretty. I have like took pictures of the book on, now I have it on like my home screen on my phone and stuff.
Oh, that's so
nice. Yeah, it's just gorgeous, and it's just a story about these animals that find each other and become friends and like lift each other up, and it's the best basically. Yeah, it's the best. I think I got that recommendation off of somebody else's like booktube channel, and I was like, okay, and then I fell in love. But yeah, those are my top 3 of the year. How about you?
Okay, so my top book of the year is probably To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf.
Ooh.
I finished it like last week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it might just be like that it's the one that I remember the best, which is why, but it's also really good. When I first started reading it, I was like, what is happening? Because the sentences were like half a page long each, and I was just like, oh, what is going on? But you get into it like pretty quickly, and the writing is just really beautiful, and it's just very like, I don't know, she takes these scenarios that like you experience and then kind of like writes about it in a way you never thought about, and it's just really like amazing. Like I just loved it. Yeah, so it's basically about like this family that's in their beach house, and one of the kids wants to go to like a lighthouse that's like across the sea, and it's just kind of following like the family and their dynamics and stuff. And
when is it set? Or like when is it set?
I think it was written in like the late 19th century or like the early 20th century.
Okay.
Oh no, wait, it was written in like 1936.
Okay, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It's early-ish 20th century.
Yeah. It's like right before the war, or like around the wartime. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really good. So I can like read an excerpt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got it from the library. So I have like,
oh nice.
Okay. With some irony in her interrogation, for when one work at all, one's relations changed. She looked at the steady light, the pitiless, the remorseless, which was so much her, yet so little her, which had her at its beck and call. But for all that she thought, watching it with fascination, hypnotized, as if it was choking with its silver fingers some sealed vessel in her brain, whose bursting would flood her with delight, she had known happiness, exquisite, intense happiness. Yeah, that's it.
Oh my God. That's like the imagery and like the wording is just really pretty, I think.
Yeah. I'm like not good at reading, but
me either. Every time I try to read aloud, I'm like always get embarrassed, and I always like clear my throat.
Yeah. My other favorites. So one was probably Story of a Brief Marriage
Mm.
by okay Anuk Aditpragasam.
Mhm.
So he's Sri Lankan, and he's like Sri Lankan Tamilian, and it's basically about like the civil war that happened in Sri Lanka in the 1990s, I think. And it takes place in like the stories takes place over like a couple of days, and it's basically about this person who is set to be married to this stranger that he's never met, and the daughter's father just wants her to get married to a stranger, so she has some security against like being recruited by like the guerrilla war troops and stuff. And it was honestly, it was so good. It was really pretty. And okay, so it was very graphic, some
Mm.
parts of it. So like they would describe someone like taking a shower or like going to the bathroom for like 10 pages, and it just got really
A
graphic.
lot, yeah.
Yeah. But it was also like, I don't know, it's a lot about like the human condition, I think. And you just kind of start to think about like what's important in life. And yeah.
That sounds really good. I just love when there's like some sort of like description that makes you really think, or like when it just
Yeah.
describes humanity so well that you're like, wow, now I like that's
Yeah.
gorgeous, even though it really isn't, but like it feels that way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of to the lighthouse too. Like,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And my third is probably Master and Margarita by
Mm.
Mikhail Bulgakov. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Yeah. It's set in Russia. It's about so the basic premise is that like the devil visits Moscow, and he starts like stirring up all this trouble, and people are just kind of like, what is happening? It was really cute. It was very like surreal, and it's fun. It's a good time.
Cool. I've been meaning to read that one, so maybe I'll get around to it at some point.
For sure.
So I think probably I'm trying to think what I'm gonna say for my least favorite, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to pick um what's it called? A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, which I think I'll probably get some hate for because it's
Oh no.
really, really popular on the internet. Um,
Yeah.
but to sort of like preface, I've always loved Sarah J. Maas. I was like obsessed with the Throne of Glass series, got very into this other series also. And then I hadn't picked up any of her books in probably, well, actually that's not true. She started a new series, The House of something. I don't remember. It's a big red book. Crescent City. That's what the series is called. Um, I started that also this year, but I hadn't picked up anything from this series in a long time. So I read this book after saying I wasn't going to read it for a long time, and I was like, you know what? I'm in the mood. I'm going to read it. And then it made me so angry. And I just really didn't like it. The whole thing. So basically, to give you a little bit of background, the story follows for the first several books, follows this girl Feyre. And she has two sisters, and she like travels to this like she's a human, she travels to the Fey world, she ends up becoming Fey. That's not too much of a spoiler. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but I think most people know that. And then so that like goes on. She has like love interests, they have plot, there's war, etc. This book follows her sister, who now also lives in the Fey world, which isn't giving much away. But it follows her sister, and like her sister's been, she's really angry basically at her family, and her family's like, okay, so you have to like stop being drunk all the time, like you have to re-enter society. Like she's just like, she has like a lot of mental health issues, she's always drinking, she's like wasting money, she has a lot of problems, and so like, okay, we need to help you. And the way they do it I don't love, like it's very abrupt, and I didn't love that. And it sort of demonizes the characters that you've come to love. But then this is a spoiler, so for anybody who doesn't want the spoiler, skip away. Basically, she Feyre, who's like the main character from the rest of the books, gets pregnant. Now, mind you, this is a YA basically fantasy that so it's one of those where the love interest is like millions of years old and the girl is like
Oh
15.
no.
So
Yeah.
she gets pregnant and her partner
Yikes.
is 500 years old.
Oh my God.
We just move past that, like, okay. But no one tells her that her pregnancy is probably going to lead to her death. They're just like,
Oh.
that's not information that she needs, because I guess we'll work that out. But she doesn't need to
Yikes.
know that. And so she doesn't understand for like a good chunk of the book that her pregnancy is probably going to kill her for whatever magical reasons they have. And no one tells her. Like all these people, she's like, I trust them with my life. Like I would always like, I love them so much. And they're just not telling her. And her
Oh
sister
yeah,
finally finds out, and her sister like yells at her in a fight, which like people are like on the internet, some people demonize her for that, like demonize the sister for telling Feyre that her pregnancy is going to kill her. And I'm like, excuse me,
that's just like a basic right, I feel.
right? Like you should know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, even her doctor just like doesn't tell her, and just because
Oh
her
my
partner,
God.
like the Feyre's partner, is like, no, she shouldn't know that, and
Oh
the
my
doctor's just like,
God.
oh, okay, sure, that's fine and normal.
Yikes.
It made me so upset. In the end, she lives, and like they use some magic to make her live, and it's fine. But I'm like, no. There was like the redeeming part of this book was there's like a really good friendship group with the sister, the main character of this book, Nesta, and then these two other women who she becomes like besties with, and they have an adorable relationship, and I love it. But
Oh,
the
that's
rest of the
cute.
book, no.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my rant. That's my least favorite book of the year. I actually did give it, it's not even a bad rating. I gave it a 2.75.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
for me is very low, but I recognize that that's not very low. So there you have it.
Was it like the last book of the series, or is there going to be more?
I don't know. I think there's probably more, because I think they're probably going to do one with the other sister next, because there's like 3 siblings, and the first sister had like a whole series, and then like this sister had 1 book, so I'm guessing the other sister's going to get a book. There's also like a lot of unanswered questions that I have about some of the characters. Yeah. So hopefully there's another, but also I'm not sure I want to read it because that made me angry. So
yeah. You feel like a Bella from Twilight, but they didn't even let her know that she's gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, how about you? What was your least favorite?
Okay, I think my least favorite was probably Aphorisms on Love and Hate by Nietzsche. Nietzsche? I don't know how to say his name. But
Nietzsche? I don't know.
Nietzsche? Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, the German philosopher. And I don't know, like I read on the genealogy of models in high school, and it was, I mean, the principles were messed up, like what he was saying was really messed up, but I could see like the logic, like how one thing led to another. Like I don't know, if you start at his starting point, you would reach his ending point, if that makes sense. But this book was just kind of like it was like reading someone's tweets, and the person is just completely unhinged and has like no concept of life.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, we were supposed to buddy read that, and then I just like dropped the ball. So whoops.
No, honestly, like you made the right call. That book was a bit whack.
Yeah.
I was reading like the reviews, and a lot of people say it's just like the edition, because it's like one of those like Penguin bite-sized, like it's really thin. So I think they might have like edited out a lot of like what he said. Yeah.
Interesting.
But, yeah. I found it kind of stupid though. He was saying like it's selfish to demand love, or like, I don't know, he was saying that like the only reason that people are kind is out of pity, and I was like, so no.
That's weird. That's kind of disturbing. We didn't actually study him. We were discussing him in one of my sociology classes this past semester. Which made me kind of want to read it just to be like, so what is his deal? But when we were talking about him, he didn't seem like a good guy necessarily. Like his ideas were sort of all over the place. I just shot my elastic band. I don't know if you saw it fly away, but I was just like playing with it in my hand and it just like shot up. So that's nice. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Should we just pick like a random book? Like, should we pick random books from each other, or we pick like how do we want to do that?
Yeah, you could like scroll and I could be like, stop, I want to know about that.
Okay, let's do that. That sounds fun. So because we did Goodreads the last round, I'll do storygraph for this round and we can just go through my books from the year. So this is, I guess, in order of when I read them. Because I just read Death of the Nile last night.
Okay.
Okay. So we have Death on the Nile. I'll just scroll slowly and then you could just like.
Okay. How is Death on the Nile?
Oh,
just like the first book.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I gave it 4 stars. I really like it. I love Agatha Christie. I really got into Agatha Christie this year. Which I guess is like a fun fact about my 2021. But yeah, I read a lot of Agatha Christie and I really enjoyed it. I think Death on the Nile is good. I mean, it has the same problems that most of her books do of being sexist and racist. But what can you do? Yeah, I enjoyed it though. I thought that the plot was pretty good. I of course didn't know who it was, but I enjoyed it. It was good. Yeah, it was sort of interesting because it was set on the Nile and the characters were all rich white people from Europe and a couple of people from America. And so I thought the setting of being like, and it's in the early 1900s, so like in the setting of like colonialism and all of this, and there's like scenes where they are interacting with locals, but and it's not like the way that Agatha Christie portrays that is weird to me, because obviously she's not going to go into colonialism in her book because that's not what she does. But I was sort of surprised that she didn't say more. There's also a character in the book who's like a socialist or like a communist, I guess. They don't really specify which he is, but he's like he's portrayed as a very violent figure. Which I thought was like odd, because I mean, it's not odd, it's the early 1900s, but it like it was just sort of like, okay, that's interesting. And he wasn't like an evil person, but he wasn't a sympathetic character. So that was interesting. Yeah, very capitalist. It was a very capitalist book, I guess. But it's an Agatha Christie, so I enjoyed it. Yeah.
What's Thirst?
Thirst is poems by Mary Oliver. She wrote this collection right after her partner died. So she and her partner had been together for like 40 years or over 40 years or something, living in Massachusetts actually. And so this book is like her reflections on her grief, and like her ideas about religion sort of have changed, I think, with her partner's death. And so there's like some bits of that, and then it's Mary Oliver, so she talks about the woods and her dog and that. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
It was nice.
Yeah.
It's a very random collection of books that I've read.
Oh my god, what's If Cats Disappeared from the World?
Okay, so this one was completely random. I read it.
Yeah.
I think I read it like right before finals. Basically, it's this guy who finds out that he's gonna die, and then basically the devil shows up and is like, if you make something disappear from the world for a day, if you make something disappear from the world, you get to live another day, because otherwise you're gonna like die tomorrow. And so he's like, okay, what am I going to give up? And so over the course of the story, he gives up different things on each day. And when I first picked it up, I thought it was going to be like a much longer stretch of time. I thought it was going to be like paper clips or something like that, and like it would go like he'd be able to live a lot longer. But they took pretty significant things that he like were really important to people. And on it was like the 5th day or something, it was cats, and he's like,
what?
I decide, can I get rid of cats? And yeah, so it was interesting. I felt like it wasn't as deep as I wanted it to be. Like I wanted it to be much more thoughtful and like thought-provoking and stuff. And I think maybe it would be for some people. Not to sound like pretentious, but like I didn't find it to be that thought-provoking, but I think maybe for some people it might be. Just in like how you think about things. Fair. Yeah. The cat cover's cute though.
It is. Kind of have an issue with this man getting rid of cats so soon though.
I know. Well, I'll give you a spoiler. He didn't get rid of the cats. But yeah. Although he did get rid of movies, and movies were like his favorite thing. Like he was a film buff, and I was like, that's a lot, especially because like it wasn't just getting rid of it for himself. Like nobody could watch movies anymore, and I was like, that's kind of crazy.
Did it have to be like things, or could it be like ideas? Like could he get rid of like hate? Or like
that's interesting. When I first read it, I was like, why didn't he just like get rid of like trash? But they did have at the beginning, there was a rule like you couldn't get rid of like negative things. But it was so that was the rule, but I don't think they could get rid of like abstract concepts or anything. It was like items or like things you interact with, but it was pretty general. Like, it was like movies and like phones. Like it wasn't like this type of phone. It wasn't like we get rid of iPhones or something. It was like all phones are gone.
Oh yikes.
Yeah, and that was sort of the other thing about it, is I think it was not it was less interesting than I thought it would be, because it was so generalized. Like it was just like, we're gonna get rid of phones and then we're not gonna talk about it. That's just gone. Like we're not gonna talk about anybody else's response to that. It's just his own personal response. So it was very like focused on him, which was sort of interesting. But yeah.
Oh, you spoke about the women's education.
Yeah. These are the ones that I read while I was at school. I didn't read as many at school, but this was the first. Felon was the first one that I read at school. So Evicted was over the summer.
Oh, you're talking to me about the library book.
Yeah, right? I think I told you about that. It was good. I know that some people think it's really boring, which I get. Like it is kind of boring. But I really enjoyed it. It basically talks about like the history of libraries in general, but then has like a specific focus on the LA library system, and the LA library fire, which happened, I don't actually remember when it happened. It was in like mid to late 20th century. So recent for people who are older than us, I guess. It was interesting. Definitely recommend that one.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, I read Martha Wells's Murderbot Diaries. It was hilarious. Highly recommend. All the books are like super, super short, except for The Network Effect, which is like a normal length book, but the others are all like novellas. But it's such a good time. Highly recommend. Hilarious. It's all about like this like cyborg type. They have a different word for it, but like it's somebody who's basically a robot but has like a human conscious, basically, but is built for murder but isn't a murderer. Like they don't want to be a murderer, so they decided to stop murdering people. Yeah,
that's so cute.
Yeah, it's kind of great. It's a good time.
Ooh, what's Woven in Moonlight?
Okay, so I bought this book because of the cover, because like look at
I
that.
know. Yeah, it's really
It
pretty.
was just like so pretty. Basically, it's like a fantasy book. I didn't really love it. I thought it was sort of
Mm.
cliche, I guess. There's a lot of the normal tropes. And I also have seen some complaints about like it was sort of told like the basically it's like a retelling of like I, I don't want to say it wrong. I want to say Bolivia. I want to say Bolivia, but I might be wrong. I think it's like a retelling of
Okay.
some countries in South America, the history of like their
Mm-hmm.
um like revolution, I think. um yeah. Um
Ooh, what? I feel like I've heard of this. This is how you lose the time war.
it's really good. It was very confusing. That's one of those books where I'm like, am I smart enough for this?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but basically it's like told in letters between these
Oh,
two people who are fighting in this time war. And basically they send each other letters back and forth in the form of like not paper letters, like they're like they speak these fancy languages, so they're like told in like the waves or whatever. Um,
yeah.
but it's gorgeous and lovely. Highly
Oh,
recommend. It's very short, um, and really like an interesting take on storytelling, I guess. Uh,
mm,
yeah, I enjoyed it.
I'm gonna I'm gonna add that to my Goodreads
Yeah,
later.
I recommend it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, more Agatha Christie.
Oh, this is your Christy face.
Yep, all three of them right in a row. Um,
Oh my gosh, you read Howl's Moving
I
Castle?
did. So I read Howl's Moving Castle when I was very young.
Mhm.
And I remember really enjoying it. I really liked Diana Wayne Jones's other books as a kid. And like I feel like Howl's Moving Castle is just one that I was like, whatever. But
Yeah.
I see so much about it now that I'm like, I should reread it. And I did. It was really cute. It wasn't as
Mm,
cute as I wanted it to be, I guess, but it was pretty cute,
yeah.
and I loved the way it was. I feel like they put a romance in where there didn't need to be a romance, which annoys me
Mm,
when that happens.
yeah,
But it
it's fair.
wasn't much of it. It was pretty short and it was cute. It was cute. I liked it.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it.
Yeah, it's like my favorite movie of all time.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I feel like I watched the movie when I was a kid, but I haven't rewatched it. So maybe I'll do that over a break. Um,
Yeah. I love
yeah,
it so much.
that's cute. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love Sophie's character just because
Yeah.
she's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, these ones are sort of newer releases. I had a new release phase of short. Um,
Oh, is this romance? The Authenticity
it
Project?
looked like it was kind of romance. It was like basically the story is that this person like this old man writes in a notebook like about himself.
Mhm.
And then he leaves it for somebody else to find and write about themselves.
Oh,
And then eventually all the people writing in this notebook like meet and it becomes like this like friend group story and like all the people like it's cute. Basically they like find
cute.
themselves and like get together
Yeah.
and like make like a whole found family situation. I'll show you the cover. The cover that I have is like bright orange.
Oh, that's
Um,
adorable.
yeah, I really love it. So I would
Yeah.
recommend it. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. It's not really the type of book I normally read, but it was cute.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Deleting your social media.
This one I heard about it on a podcast that I listened to, and I was like, okay,
Mhm.
like social media has a lot of issues. I'd appreciate
Yeah.
that. And I just like didn't think it was very good. I feel like
Mm.
the 10 arguments were pretty obvious. And it didn't really convince me to delete them. I was like, yeah, I know I
Yeah.
should, but I'm probably not gonna, and this doesn't this
Yeah.
doesn't convince me to.
It's like those boomers that are always like phones are bad.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it was a little bit more nuanced, but it wasn't a lot more nuanced.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm good. I did listen
Yeah.
to the audiobook version.
Mhm.
And it was really quick, but yeah.
Yeah.
This was the one that I read for short stories that I read for my class.
Um,
This is like a Harriet Tubman book that I read that I feel like it was good, but it was also pretty like not obvious, but pretty like not in depth, I guess. It was
mhm.
interesting. I learned a lot more about Harriet Tubman than I had known before, but I feel like there was more
Yeah.
that I could have learned if the book had been longer, sort of thing. 'Cause it wasn't
Yeah.
very
I get
long.
that.
Yeah. I read this series all back to back. The Queen
I
Sleep
love it.
series. Yeah, it was a good time. I would recommend it for
Yeah.
fantasy people.
Oh, the Starless Sea.
Yeah, I read that. I really enjoyed it. I didn't like it as much as I liked The Night Circus, by the same
Mhm.
author. But just because it was like more confusing, and less, I don't know. It was different. It was very different from The Night Circus, I guess. I did really enjoy it though. I would definitely recommend it. It was really
Mhm.
a very pretty book. Like everything about it was very pretty.
Yeah.
Um, this is a
Oh, I've
gorgeous
seen this
cover.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just love the cover. It's a really good book too. But
Mhm.
the cover, man.
It's like
Uh,
on that shelf of contemporary novels that we have in our college, like that one.
oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend it. It's like a story about four sisters um from who like immigrated, I guess, and then they sort of separate, and it's sort of their life. There's sort of their story. The main like
Mhm.
protagonist is a professor whose husband has just died. And so it's sort of her,
Um,
like she's grieving, and then she also like is trying to care for her family, and also for her neighbors. It's a good story. It has a lot of like interpersonal connection, and it's good.
that's cool.
Yeah. I read this massive Eleanor Roosevelt biography.
Oh my gosh.
720
700
pages.
pages.
Yep. That
So
was good.
wild.
I think someone gifted it to me. I probably wouldn't have read it otherwise, but it was good. It was
Mm.
interesting. Agatha Christie again. This is my favorite Agatha Christie.
Oh,
Definitely.
I've read that one, I think. That's the one
Yeah.
with like the,
They're on the island.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I love that one.
yeah.
Um, Here's the Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse.
Hmm. Oh my
Um,
god, the cover. That's
all
adorable.
the pictures all the drawings are like that. Really
Oh,
pretty.
that's so pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, Amitav Ghosh. What
Yeah.
did you think?
I liked it. I like at first when I was reading it, I was like, no, but again,
Hmm.
like it had that very human look at people's lives, which I really
Yeah.
liked. I read it actually for class because I had like a British colonialism class basically that I was taking.
Mhm.
And so we are talking about that sort of thing. We read this book as part of that. Um, and yeah, I thought it was really good. I don't know if I'd recommend it necessarily, but it was good. And I'm
Mhm.
kind of intrigued to read something else by him now.
I tried reading The Calcutta Chromosome by him,
mm,
and it's about like malaria and this person who like discovered the cure for malaria.
mm.
And I don't know if it's because it's like about science or like scientific history. It's just it didn't like excite me. Like I was like,
Oh,
okay, I don't really care.
that's rough.
Um,
I guess that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah, he's written a ton of stuff.
yeah.
So, yeah. Um, yeah, this is
Oh,
the other book.
Chinua Achebe.
Yeah, this is the other book that I read for that
Mm,
class, which a lot of the other people in the class had read other books by him for in high school, and I'd never read anything by
yeah.
him. But I did really like that book. It was good.
He's Kenyan, right?
I think he's, I want to say Nigerian.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we'll say in the description. Yeah, Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. It was part of the colonialism class, so it was dark. But yeah, it was good. I read the Poppy War. I meant to read the rest of the Poppy War series this year, and I never did. It was good, but just like parts of it were really, really dark. So anybody who's going into that, be aware of that. But it is also really good.
Yeah.
Also love the Stacey Abrams book. I really want to read her other book. My tiny house obsession.
Oh my gosh, I was like upset. I was watching those videos on YouTube like
all through like
nonstop.
last winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely very good. Yeah, I don't know why this is the version of this book that popped up, but oh well. Yeah, and then Lies of Lockelmore was the first book that I read this year. So that's it.
Very cool. Is
Yeah.
it like part of a series?
Yeah, I never finished the series. For the first book. I did really like the
Yeah.
first book. Also like very like grim dark fantasy vibes. A lot like Six of
Cool.
Crows, but for adults really. Or Six of Crows is like a young adult book, but yeah, very good. And that's it.
Cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed all of them. I'll stop
These
sharing.
seem like really interesting.
Yeah,
Seems like
it was
very good year.
it was a good year. I'm gonna go turn the light on because it's really dark, but
Okay.
that's not much better, but that's okay.
I think it's better. Okay. I can do mine, but I think I'm gonna do mine on Goodreads because Storycraft doesn't have like all of them. Okay.
45 of 30 books. Ooh, pretty covers.
Who is she? Right? So these are the books that I read this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about Almond? Because I've been interested in that
Yeah.
one.
It was really cute. It was about this person who has, I don't know how to say the name of the disorder, but basically like part of his brain is underdeveloped, so he can't feel like emotions like happiness or fear or love, like not love, but he doesn't really understand like these concepts that people like talk about in daily life. And it's just kind of about like he goes through like this really traumatic event, and it's just kind of like about him making friends and like learning how to like feel these emotions. It was really cute, but it was also kind of like too cute. Like everything was just too perfect. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, what about Ace of Spades? Barely letting me
Ace of Spades, it's so good. It's basically about this private school and these two Black students that go to it, and it's kind of like Gossip Girl. Like there's these blasts that are sent out by this anonymous account called the Ace of Spades, and they start like targeting these two students, and they just kind of like team up to find out who is like sending these blasts because they start getting like really personal.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. I kind of want to read it.
You should. It's really good.
Okay.
I think I read it in like a day during finals because I could not put it down. Yeah.
Ooh, what's Small Country?
Oh, okay. I read this for one of my classes, but it's basically a book by this he's French, but his mom is so his mom is Rwandan and his dad is French, and he was raised in Burundi. But basically it's just kind of like about the Rwandan genocide and how this how it affected Burundi, and this person, he's like 12 I think in the book, but it's just kind of like told from his perspective, so you kind of like see him. He's very like privileged in during the war, like he lives in a really rich neighborhood and he's not really affected by it, but you can also kind of see like how it's changing the people around him. I thought it was really good.
Nice, that's cool.
Yeah.
Crying
the comments. Yeah. I read all of these during Thanksgiving. I was reading
Oh,
like,
nice. Oh,
yeah.
crap. Convenience Store Woman. I forgot that we read that together. I don't know why I forgot that, but
Oh
that was
yeah,
fun.
we did. Yeah. It was a good time.
Ooh, what's Blood Wedding?
So it's a play, and it's basically about like this family. It's set in Spain, I think. Yeah,
Mm.
it's set in Spain. And it's about like this family whose son is in love with someone else, even though he's supposed to marry someone else. Or like it might be the daughter. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I like
No,
don't
you're good.
remember. It's like a family drama, basically.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's really short, but it was interesting. Yeah.
That makes sense. I love that you read Look Through the Looking Glass. I've never read that.
Oh, it's really good. It's really cute.
Ooh, what was Radio Silence like? I've been meaning to read one of her books and I haven't.
Yeah, it's really good. It was about this like friendship between these two characters, and they're both like introverts and just like socially anxious. It's like
Nice.
that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's like a YA novel, but instead of like focusing on like a romantic like relationship, it focuses on a friendship,
Oh,
which
I
is
love
really cute.
that. That's so nice.
Yeah,
I love when I see that and I don't see it very often.
yeah, yeah. And Radio Silence is just like this web series that one of the characters is like running throughout the book.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's very cute.
Yeah.
Highly recommend Alice Oseman. She's really good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because she wrote Loveless too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that this year too. Like
Okay, nice.
sure. Yeah.
There's your big nonfiction book.
I know. It took me, okay, I added it on the 28th, but I think it took me like 6 months to read it. It took so long.
Oh, what's the 100-year-old man who climbed out of the window and disappeared?
So it's like, I think it's a comedy. It's about this, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's about a 100-year-old man who climbed out of the window of his nursing home, and he goes on like this adventure. Basically, it's set in the past and the present. So the
Oh,
present story is that he escapes his nursing home, but in the past, basically, he just kind of it's kind of telling the story of his life, and he's been part of all these like huge events in the 20th century. Like he had dinner with Stalin, and like he worked on the nuclear missile in the US. Like it's just,
he's just
yeah.
all over the place. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
It was, honestly, it was fun to read, but it was also kind of like really frustrating, because this man was like, he met like Franco, like General Franco, and like he met, like, I don't think he met Hitler, but I'm pretty sure he was involved in like the he was definitely involved in like the Second World War. He met like Mao's wife, and it's just kind of like he has no political like beliefs, so he's just completely apolitical and just going through life, and like all this stuff is happening to him, and it's like,
Interesting.
yeah, and it's like,
Oh,
okay, how has this man met literally every significant figure of the 20th century, and he has no opinions?
that's really
It
funny.
was,
That's
yeah,
odd. That's definitely odd.
yeah. It was fun though. Like if you're
Yeah.
in for the fun read about like a retelling of history, I'd say go for it. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Mhm.
Ooh, a selection of plays and poems.
Oh yeah. This was by Kalidasa, who's like a Sanskrit writer from like 1580
Oh,
BC.
wow.
It's like really long ago. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's translated to English. And I think the play was Shakuntala, and it was like a couple of poems. And it was nice. The writing's really pretty. It's kind of misogynistic because it was written like really long ago. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was interesting.
that's cool. You read Christmas Carol in June?
Yeah.
Fun holiday spirit.
Yeah. I don't know why, honestly. I think I was just like going through my shelf and reading books that I haven't read, like that I've been meaning to read. And Yeah,
Nice.
someone gave it to me for one of my birthdays in like 4th grade, and I hadn't read it, so I was like, okay, let's
Nice.
do it.
That's a
Yeah,
good time. That's funny.
yeah.
What's the invitation to a beheading? That's like what a title.
Yeah. So it's basically it's this book about this man who's sentenced to be beheaded, and we don't really know like what crime he committed, and like even once I finish the book I'm not entirely sure. It's just kind of like that he's different, I think. Like is
Nice.
basically it. It was very surreal. It was like weird. It was kind of similar to Master and Margarita, like just a bunch of really weird stuff kept happening. It kind of felt like reading a fever dream, if that
Nice.
makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. It
You gave
was,
it 5 stars.
yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll read that. I have way too many books on my list. I should stop saying that I'll read things.
You're good on um,
Ooh, Mexican Gothic. I've been meaning to read that. What do you think of it?
I loved it. It was
Yeah.
really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very like it's like a typical gothic novel, I think, like the premise and the setup and stuff, but it's also very political. Like it talks a lot about like eugenics and colonialism. And yeah, I don't know, I really loved it. It
That's cool.
was, yeah.
This looks like a good run. Mexican Gothic, Night Circus, Ace, Loveless,
I
like Water for
know,
Chocolate.
yeah. I know. I think yeah, the first few books I read was so good. Okay, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, like Water for Chocolate was the first book I read this
Okay.
year.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mhm. And that's
That's
it.
that's a good year.
Yeah, I really enjoyed all the books I read this year.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. Did you have any other highlights that you wanted to bring to our attention? I'm trying to
Um,
I'm trying to think
Let
of
me
good
just run
highlights of
through
the year.
it. Yeah.
We do like a cover favorites. I think my favorite cover of the year
Oh,
was this one. Um, I had a lot of good ones, but
oh,
that's just like
yeah,
gorgeous. The lighting is
it
bad, but
is.
it's gorgeous.
It's so
Um,
pretty.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just read this one recently, and I was just like, gotta get it. Look at the cover.
Okay, so this is my favorite cover of the year. It's
Ooh,
I'm Not Myself These Days
that looks
by
good.
Josh Kilmer Purcell. Yeah. It
That's so
was
cool.
it's like a memoir, and the goldfish kind of relate. It's about a drag queen, like he's a
Oh,
drag
nice.
queen. Yeah. And his drag persona has like these fake boobs that are like basically just goldfish bags, and they have like live goldfish in them.
I
Just
love
really
that.
cute. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good cover. I like that.
Yeah.
I feel like cover art is just like such a fun time. There's always like the don't judge a book by its cover, but like I do. I always do.
Yeah. Me too.
Can't help it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is that the end of our episode?
I think
So
so.
thank you everyone for chiming in, joining us. Hopefully this finds you well in the new year. And
Yeah.
we'll have a new episode coming out soon. So thank you so much.
Bye.